नमस्कार श्री Ramakrishna Kathamrita तव कथामृतं तप्त जीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमंगलं श्रीमदादतं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः श्री रामकृष्ण कथामृतो प्रथम भाग षष्ठ खंडो और द्वितीय परिच्छेद, the second chapter of the sixth section of the first volume of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna in Bengali, Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita. We have in the previous reading, Sri Ramakrishna told us about his meeting with Keshav Chandra Sen and how he had told earlier to Keshav Chandra Sen that you should convert your unripe ego to ripe ego and then do all the good work that you have been doing. Only after getting command from the God, you take up this work, you take up this task of teaching and preaching and giving instructions in your Brahmo Samaj and all that. And make disciples indiscriminately. You first judge their nature. You must first judge their attitude, and then after you get the command, after you get the order from the Lord that now you go and teach, like Shukdeva had got command from the Lord to teach Bhagavata to Parikshit. So that's what Sri Ramakrishna had spoken to. He had told about his meetings with Keshav Chandra Sen, and this was in context with the topic of this second section, that Brahma Triguna. That was the topic on which this entire chapter started, the second chapter, that how Sri Ramakrishna is telling his disciples that what Brahman is cannot be uttered by words, it cannot be described by words. One has to just experience it. And like those friends who had, while walking, they had come up that huge wall, and out of curiosity, what is there on the other side of the wall. All of them, they just climbed up one by one, but nobody could tell what is there. They just jumped on the other side to whatever was happening on the other side of the wall. Understanding Brahman is like that. Getting the Brahmadhyana is like that. It can only be experienced. It can only be perceived, because you go beyond senses. Once you are one with Brahman, once you understand Brahman, then there is no duality, there is no I and you. It is all one. The salt doll entering the ocean, entering the sea to measure its depth. Then what happens? Is she going to come back and tell us how deep is the sea? Impossible. So that was the subject which had started in the second chapter, and now Sri Ramakrishna once again goes back to that same topic, that about crossing beyond the three gunas. Now Sri Ramakrishna is going to tell about one past experience in his life. In Sri Ramakrishna's life, he is going to tell all these devotees who have gathered there in his room. They are sitting at his feet and listening to the nectarine words of their beloved Thakur, Sri Ramakrishna, on this 22nd of July 1883. Now, this portion of the second chapter is Purva Kotha Sri Ramakrishner Murcha Mayar Kando Dekhe. Having seen the play of Maya, Sri Ramakrishna, he fell unconscious, he fainted. And Sri Ramakrishna is taking us, it is a flashback, and telling us about that incident which once happened in his life at an earlier point of time. Sri Ramakrishna says, Trigunatit huwa bodo kothin. Because this chapter started with the subject matter of three guna. When Sri Ramakrishna says that Brahman is beyond three gunas. To understand Brahman, one has to cross over this, the realm of three gunas, the sattva, rajas, tamas. And then he had told us that story of the three robbers robbing a man, and then finally how that one good, at least among those three robbers, one was quite sentimental, good hearted, tender hearted, helping hand. He untied that person and showed him the path. You take this path, you will reach your destination. But I won't come. If I come there, people will know I am a thief, and police will arrest me. So Sri Ramakrishna says, even these three gunas, even the sattva guna, which is the best among the three gunas, at the most it can lead us to the path, but it cannot take us to the destination. Because to reach the destination, even we have to leave behind the sattva also. We have to cross over all the three gunas. We have to get that stage of Trigunati, to go beyond Tamasic, go beyond Rajasic, go beyond Sattvic. And then, only then, we can have our oneness with the Brahman. Then we can see what is there on the other side of that wall, like those friends. And then, uttering ha 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 ha, we also jump and merge with the Brahman. So Sri Ramakrishna says, Trigunatit hova bhulo kothin. It is extremely difficult to go beyond the three gunas, to cross over the three gunas. Extremely difficult. Ishpor labh na korle hoy na. Unless and until we jump on the other side, we cannot go away from this side, that side of the wall. Only when Ishwar Labh na korle hoina, unless and until we have God realization, we just cannot cross over the three gunas, the three qualities of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. And till the time we cannot cross over, we cannot get merged in oneness. So it is a catch-22 situation now. To have the God realization, we must leave the gunas. And these gunas we can cross over only after having God realization. So with the intention of God realization, let us start walking on this path and then jump over that wall. Then we leave behind the sattva, rajas, tamas on the other side of the wall. So that is what Sri Ramakrishna is saying. Ishwar labh na korle hoy na. Jeev Maya Rajye Bash Kore. This little tiny little fellow, this tiny living being, this embodied soul, is living in the domain of Maya. The soul is living in the domain of delusion. Delusion created by lust and greed, by attractions to me and mine. That is the way this little fellow, this jeeb, is dwelling in that domain of delusion. Jeeb Maya Rajye Bash Kore. Ei Maya, Ishwar ke jante dei na. This Maya, this delusion, this attraction. And Sri Ramakrishna had told about the difference between Maya and Daya. He had told all this attraction for me and my near and dear ones, my wife, my children, my friends, my family, my relatives, my social circle, all this my, this is Maya. And that prevents us. That prevents one from God realization. Ei Maya, Ishwar ke jante dena. But different from Maya is Daya, which is compassion for all the beings in this world. Like Ma said, no one is a stranger, my child. The whole world is your own. Whole world. Why only my wife, my children, my kids, my family, my relatives, my friends, my social circle? Why only limited to this? This entire world is your own. Look at the words of our Ma. So Sri Ramakrishna says, এই মায়া মানুষকে অজ্ঞান করে রাখে। এই মায়া ঈশ্বরকে জানতে দেয় না। This Maya doesn't allow us to realize the God. That is, pulling us down. This Maya, this delusion of me and mine is pulling us down from reaching the top of that wall and seeing what is happening the other side. Only after detaching the trap of Maya, when we climb up the wall and we see the other side, what is happening, and finally, with a very strong mind, with discrimination, we jump on the other side of the wall, then we become one with the Lord. Not till the time we are this side, no chance. But first, the urge to jump over the wall and see what is there, that should come. That won't come till Maya is there. And Sri Ramakrishna further says, এই মায়া মানুষকে অজ্ঞান করে রেখেছে. This Maya has made this man, this being, an ignorant one. She has pulled the veil of ignorance on the in front of this person, in front of the living beings, and making us play in her game, making us play. She is so precarious, this Maya. She is making us play in this world game, the game of worldly matters. এই মায়া মানুষকে অজ্ঞান করে রেখেছে. Then Sri Ramakrishna tells one incident that had happened when Hriday Ram, his nephew, the son of Sri Ramakrishna's cousin sister, he used to stay at Dakshineshwar earlier when Thakur underwent that rigorous, that phase of austerities for 12 years. Hriday actually took care of him, forcefully fed him. Doesn't matter, he used to curse him, he used to shout at him, but he had taken care of Sri Ramakrishna during that time. So Hriday used to stay with him, and then finally one day he did something and he was just sent away from the temple complex, and that was in fact also a part of the Leela that Thakur had played, only because Hriday had gone. That Ma came and started staying with Sri Ramakrishna in that small Nahabat at the Dakshineshwar on the northern side of Sri Ramakrishna's room, where today all the disciples and we are all sitting and we are listening to Sri Ramakrishna's words. Just peep across the northern door and there we see that beautiful Nahabat and Ma sitting there, cooking there for Thakur and for the devotees. So Sri Ramakrishna is telling us the story about Hriday. Hriday একটা এঁড়ে বাছুর এনেছিল. Sri Ramakrishna says once Hriday Ram, he brought one little calf to Dakshineshwar where they were staying. একদিন দেখি সেটাকে বাগানে বেঁধে দিয়েছে ঘাস খাওয়াবার জন্য. One day I saw that Hriday had tied that little calf in the garden, just for that calf to graze, to eat some grass which was grown there on the ground. ঘাস খাবার জন্য. আমি জিজ্ঞাসা করলাম, Hriday, ওটাকে রোজ ওখানে বেঁধে রাখিস কেন? Then one day I asked him, Hriday, why is it every day you Just tie him there and leave him there for grazing. Why is it that you have brought this calf here and tying him every day for him to eat the grass and all that? রুদে বললে, মামা, এন্ডেটিকে দেশে পাঠিয়ে দিব, বড় হলে লাঙ্গল টানবে. Hruday, what did Hruday say? Mama, এন্ডেটিকে দেশে পাঠিয়ে দিব. I will send this little calf to my home at Shihor. Deshe, in the village. I will send it to village. বড় হলে লাঙ্গল টানবে. Once he is grown up into a rustic bull, then we will tie him, we will yoke him to the plow, and then he will start plowing the field. Then we will grow, we will cultivate rice, paddy, and all these things. And Sri Ramakrishna said, the moment Hruday uttered these words, what was Thakur's reaction? First of all, bringing this little calf to Dakshineshwar, tying him, making him graze all the day. And then Sri Ramakrishna asked, why you brought him here? And then he said, I will send this calf to village. And when he grows old, when he becomes very strong, a young, strong, young bull, then I will yoke him to the plow. যাই এ কথা বলেছে, আমি মূর্ছিত হয়ে পড়ে গেলাম. Sri Ramakrishna says, the moment Hruday uttered these words, I just fell unconscious. I fainted. I couldn't listen to his word. I just fainted. I fell down unconscious, leaving all the consciousness. যাই এ কথা বলেছে, আমি মূর্ছিত হয়ে পড়ে গেলাম. মনে হয়েছিল কি মায়ার খেলা. It came to my mind, what is this play of Maya? I started, but I just fell down unconscious thinking about this, unique, wonderful play of Maya, play of delusion. What was that play? কোথায় কামার পুকুর শিওর, কোথায় কলকাতা, এ বাছুরটি যাবে ওই পথ, সেখানে বড় হবে, তারপর কতদিন পরে লাঙ্গল টানবে, এরই নাম সংসার, এরই নাম মায়া. And then Sri Ramakrishna said, just thinking about what the hell, what a game of Maya. Where is Calcutta? Where is Kamarpukur Shihor? Such a distant place. And this poor fellow, Hruday will make this poor little calf travel all the way from Calcutta, Kolkata to Kamarpukur Shihor. Shihor is further down Kamarpukur. And a bachurti, this little calf, যাবে ওই পথ. This young little calf, so small, he has to travel all this long path, all this way. সেখানে বড় হবে. And then, not only respite after that, after going there, then he will grow. Then he will become strong. This fellow will make him strong. He will, he will grow. This calf will grow there at Shihor. সেখানে বড় হবে, তারপর কতদিন পরে লাঙ্গল টানবে. And then, after growing old, after becoming strong and stout bull, then, after so many days, then it will pull the plow. What, the bhog he has to undergo, what all the things that he has to, this poor little calf has to undergo, from Calcutta to Kamarpukur, Shihor, then there Shihor, there he has to spend so many days to become a strong, stout bull, and even after that, then it has to pull the plow. That is what is called the worldly life. Hmm? Eroi naam সংসার, eroi naam maya. This is what is the worldly life. This is what is worldly entanglement. And this is what is Maya. Just thinking about this, just imagine Sri Ramakrishna just falling unconscious on the ground, thinking about this play of Maya. And we, every moment in our life, we are happily getting ourselves entangled in this net of Maya. And we are not concerned about it for that matter. Somehow, following Thakur's words, at least let us make an effort to get rid of this entanglement, to get rid of this Maya, this delusion. Understand this is delusion, yes, and only then we can tread the path towards God realization, and then we can cross over the three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. And then Sri Ramakrishna says, Onekkon pore murcha bhenge chilo. And Sri Ramakrishna says, thinking about it, after a long time, after I fell unconscious, after a long time, I got back my consciousness. I was, this thought of poor, this little poor calf getting so much of hardship in the realm of Maya. This thought made me unconscious. For quite a long time, I was in that state, and then after a long time, I regained my consciousness. I came back to this world. That is what Sri Ramakrishna's compassion for the living beings entrapped in the world of Maya. Sri Ramakrishna lost his consciousness because of that concern. That particular moment, that concern was only for that little calf. But Sri Ramakrishna is concerned for all of us, for all the living beings, for all the beings who are entangled in Maya, and his worry, his effort is to lead all these beings to illumination, Chaitanya Hook. That is the objective why the Lord appeared in this yuga as Sri Ramakrishna. And with that particular story, beautiful story that Sri Ramakrishna told us, we have completed the second chapter of this sixth section. And in our next reading, we will start the third chapter. And in third chapter, Sri M is again going to narrate another incident of Sri Ramakrishna attaining Samadhi. So till then, let us just contemplate on today's teaching that Sri Ramakrishna has given to us in the form of that story, where out of the concern for that little calf, he lost consciousness, thinking about the tricks that Maya plays, and just entangles the living beings, entangles the beings in her realm. Sri Ramakrishna is so much concerned. So let us contemplate on that particular incident, on that particular story that Thakur has told us, and on the concern that Sri Ramakrishna has for all of us. With that, Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishna. Om Namah Shri Bhagavate Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur, Jai Ma, Jai Swamiji.